WSTU, it is 9:06, and that it is time for the Forum with your host, Pat Sacco.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Pat.
We're right in the beginning of hurricane season.
Yes, we are.
And the prediction is about the same or maybe a little worse than last year. Whatever that means.
It's going to be average or above average, slightly above average.
Right? But then again, a hurricane could be a hurricane, but it may or may not ever come to the Treasure Coast.
Yep.
When we first moved to Florida, I saw this black and white map, black and white drawing thing of Florida, and it showed a little black dot where all the hurricanes have been for the last 100 years. And there was this little bald spot. And it was over Port St. Lucie and Stewart.
Awesome.
It was a little tiny bald spot, but then we had Francis and Jeannie who hit us.
Yeah, that
so now we got black and white. But I looked at that, thought, I want to live in that little white bald spot. And I guess I did. I do.
Well,
so you just never know. The temperature, the water, the wind patterns, El Nino and El
La
Niña. One is bad and one is good.
Correct.
I'm not going to talk about gender. Okay, I want to say good morning to my people who are on hiatus from their bingo game. And they're still upset because they didn't want to stop bingo. We do a bingo from October to April at a church, but the money doesn't go to the church. It goes to outreach. We just gave a chunk to House of Hope for this little tiny bingo we run. And there's Kay and Betty and Sheila and Pat and Dorothy and Sandy and Maggie. And I'm missing somebody. Anyway, there's also CJ and Cindy and Adrian and Emma. I think I covered them all. How about that? I'm sorry, I have to wave at Sheila. I went like this one time, and she said, "No, don't wave. I just go like this." So I go like that. All right. Anyway, time's flying. We'll be there at October 1st pretty soon. Save your money because I want it when you come and play bingo. All right, I have in the studio here with me today a friend of mine for long standing.
Yeah, good while now.
We go back to several mayor elections.
Yes,
we do. Several before. His name is Kevin McLaughlin, and Kevin is the regional manager of Legal Shield.
That's me.
I love that term. A legal shield.
Yes,
holding up that shield.
You put a legal shield around you and your family.
Speaking of buttons, whenever my son wanted to change the subject, he'd say, speaking of buttons. When you said shield, I thought about the ancient Englanders who rode a horse and who had armor and everything. Why do the English people drive on the left? Or we drive on the right?
That is a great question.
It goes back to medieval times.
Okay.
Because you're right-handed, right? Your sword is at your left. You're going to draw your sword. Now, if you were riding on the right-hand side of the street and some enemy came down their side of the street, you'd be fumbling, trying to turn around to fight. Whereas if you rode to the left, you could draw your sword as that guy was coming.
Hand is good for oncoming traffic.
Exactly. So your sword hand, right hand, was to protect yourself by being on the left side of the road.
No, that makes sense.
Isn't that amazing? You learn. There's one other quick thing.
I know that's true when you get married. The bride is always on your left hand so that your sword hand is open.
Exactly.
I don't know why you'd want to draw at a wedding.
Well, depending on how beautiful your wife is.
Father-in-law. Yeah, exactly.
He's over there.
He's going to start aiming the shotgun.
Now he says, I have a gun and I know how to use it. You have to be very respectful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like the tradition thing. I love to tell this story. This guy was watching his wife cook a ham, and before she put it in the oven, she sliced the ends off the ham and put it in the pan. And he said, "Why did you slice the ends off?" She said, "Because my mother always did." So he went to the mother-in-law, asked her the same question. She says, "Because my mother did." So he goes to the grandmother. He said, "Why do you slice the ends off the ham before you put it in the pan?" And the grandmother looked at him and said, "So it'll fit in the pan." So sometimes we do things out of tradition that we don't understand why it started, and we're light years away from the real reason.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But anyway, left side of the road, sword.
I had no idea. Useless trivia this
See,
morning.
I
I'm glad
love
I
that.
got up.
Well, from here on in, it's not going to be useless because I want all these facts and figures and everything from you, Kevin.
Okay.
You've been with Legal Shield for quite a long time.
11 years now.
Wow. Okay. And it's a protection service.
Correct.
Big time.
Big time. Absolutely. In these United States, it's actually cheaper to allow yourself to get ripped off than it is to stand up for your rights. And Legal Shield is here to fix that.
How is it cheaper?
Well, let's just say, and it happens all the time. Let's just say someone overcharges you by 10 or 20 bucks.
Hmm.
What are you going to do to do, or even $100? You know, to go out and hire an attorney to get your $100 back is, you know, that's diminishing returns because you're going to pay him $300 an hour plus probably $100 to write the letter, and you're out more than you would have been. And
That's right.
businesses know this, and so things happen very regularly that most people can't afford to counteract. But when you've got a Legal Shield, you can afford to deal with that.
See, because you got $1 million worth of back.
Well, on an unlimited basis,
Unlimited. Yep.
you've got a law firm to help stand up for your rights.
I can't reveal where and the circumstance, but I was working in a company where there was a lawsuit, an injury lawsuit. And to me, it was unfounded. I saw that everything. This is ridiculous. Anyway, the company settled for $300,000 without going to court. And I said to one of the representatives, why did you do that? You knew darn well you could win this case. He said, yes, and it would cost us about $500,000 to go to court. So we were cutting our losses.
Yeah. Yeah, and so when that type of number crunching is in your wallet, you consciously allow yourself to be taken on a regular basis.
So it's not a matter of justice, it's a matter of complexity.
It's a matter of finances.
Yeah, I mean, complexity of the system that allows you to be charged so many dollars for so many things just to prove a point.
Yeah.
Because in a small claims court, you can take somebody to, but that still costs you money.
It still costs you money too. There's a phrase that we use all the time. That's not right. And hey, I took my shirt to the cleaners. It has a huge ink spot on it when I got back. And you're like, that's not right. They ruined my shirt. They should pay for it. And then they point to the sign. We're not responsible, which is bull because everybody's responsible. So talking to them isn't going to make any difference. The person who's there is just an hourly person. They don't care. So if you have an attorney, contact the owner of the place who's conscious about losing customers, they'll get you a new shirt.
Case in point, my son works for the Consumer Financial Protection Agency. I'm not going to talk about what's happening right now because that agency is in flux. But I had a friend who had a piece of property in New York City, and the bank notified her that it was time to pay the taxes or whatever. So she said, okay, I authorize you to do it. Well, 3 or 4 months later, she got a foreclosure notice that she had never paid her taxes. Now, Consumer Financial Protection Agency, they're the ones that got out when it got that $450 million from Wells Fargo or whatever. Okay, that's their job. But they also deal with one-on-one. So she called the agency, talked to a woman who was representative, explained the situation, and the lady said, fine, I'll get back to you. 2 days later, she got a phone call from her bank with an apology. They had reversed one of the numbers. They did bother to look it up. They did solve the problem because somebody from the government said, you will do this as a protection to a citizen. Well, I thought, wow, they would even go down to one-on-one because they're looking to eliminate fraud. That's their whole job, is to eliminate fraud and to find people who do fraud.
Right.
And it's a wonderful idea, and you're basically in that same mode with your company.
Right. And it's a common misconception because of the way that we're raised. Like I was raised in a solid, strong, middle-class family. We didn't have any kind of money problems, but we weren't the ultra wealthy either. And as a result, I wasn't taught, hey, before you do anything, before you write any checks, before you sign your name on anything, before you finalize your plans, you need to run that through our family attorney first. because everything you do could negatively impact our estate.
Right.
I wasn't raised that way, and it's not a bad thing. It's an economic thing. But I guarantee you, the very wealthy in these United States at the dinner table are teaching their children to not do anything without the advisement of an attorney, because if you make a mistake, you have something to lose. But those of us who are not the ultra wealthy, whatever it is that we have to lose, it's a greater percentage of our world.
Right, exactly. And of our worth.
That yes,
Yeah, right.
and that much more important to make a right decision. And we sign away dollars and cents every day without realizing it, and without someone to double check those things. How are we going to even know?
Well, I'm not going to get political, but I would say this: if you took someone who is struggling to make ends meet, but they are just barely doing it, and suddenly the government comes along and says, we're going to give you another $20 a paycheck. Well, that's significant to them. And yet, the big businesses are going to get $50,000, but it's significant to them at the same proportion. And so we have to realize, even if you're giving a little bit to someone who doesn't have a whole lot, it means a whole lot to them.
Exactly.
Every dollar, every buck.
Exactly. And when every penny counts, it only makes sense to have someone make sure that no one's going to get one thin dime out from your sweaty grasp without your permission.
Exactly.
And the correct person to do that is an attorney.
Right. Now, you don't work for attorneys.
That's correct.
Okay, so we're going to draw the line right there. So what you just said was an oxymoron. The only way you can get money is through an attorney. No, you can get money and protection through Legal Shield.
Well, the correct way to protect
you do
your
have
rights
attorneys
is with an attorney.
Yeah, right.
And so what Legal Shield has come up with, and it took 27 years to develop this system that we've got. And what it does is it literally gives you an entire law firm that works for you without sending you a bill afterwards, except for the very minor percentage. Only 10% of any of our customer requests over the last 45 years have resulted in any additional fees. But so instead of paying what's on average about $300 an hour,
right? Exactly.
Legal Shield has a membership, and it's $300 for the whole year, and you've got a law firm.
Well, somebody says, well, why do I have to pay that kind of money? Well, why do you have auto insurance? Why do you have homeowners insurance? Why do you have health insurance? Why? Because it's not for what you're going to do is have a broken fingernail and draw $5 from it. It's when you're going to have a $500,000 open heart surgery. It's a protection.
Well,
automobile insurance is the same thing. You're paying, $1,000, $2,000 a year, but it's a protection against something greater than you can afford.
Well, an attorney is it's a field. It's, not just everyone you can't just turn a switch and say, okay, now I'm an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of schooling that goes to it. They're, very intelligent people doing very complex things. Attorneys it's a great field. And they are there to protect us, and to do it properly is expensive. Like the old joke, why are divorces expensive? It's because they're worth it. But but that kind of price point is out of reach of the average Joe American person, and that's the problem that we're here to fix. When you have to check your wallet before you check your rights, that's not the situation that it should be.
True.
So we're here to fix that.
All right. So explain the process here. Yeah, it's going to be a monthly fee, just like you would pay for a monthly or annual fee, like you'd pay for insurance. I like to think of it as it's an insurance policy.
It functions very similarly to insurance,
but it opens up avenues that you would normally not have opened up to you by being a member of Legal Shield.
What differentiates us from insurance is that we actually encourage people to use our service. Like you go out and buy a life insurance policy, you're not itching to use it, or auto policy. But with a Legal Shield policy, you are able to, for $25, add a Legal Shield wing, add a law firm to your family, and use them now to deal with situations that you're dealing with now, to make your life better now.
Give me an example.
Well, Most of the population actually does not have an updated will.
Okay.
One of the main reasons is because it's very expensive.
Mhm.
With Legal Shield, your will costs you nothing. It's included in the membership.
Now we had made our wills out when we moved to Florida because coming from New York State, they said do not bring a New York State will to Florida because apparently New York State will cash in on some money.
I don't know all
Somehow.
the details on that thing, but I do know
Yeah.
that individual state laws apply.
Yep.
And your New York will isn't going to work in Florida.
Right. Well, we got Florida wills, and then I don't know how long ago we got a notice from the attorney saying, "Well, you better come in and redo your will because now you have to add that HIPAA page into your will." In other words, you're going to restrict certain people. Well, you're going to be very selective as to who will have information.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also yearly updates are included. And I actually have a colleague who makes it very clear to his large family that he updates his will every year, the week after Father's Day.
Yes, so behave. Yes, very good. Very good. There's another joke that I came across recently. This is kind of cute. This very, very wealthy individual died, went to heaven. And St. Peter said, I'm going to give you a tour of heaven. And he said, because there's dwellings, you get a nice place to live, and for eternity and everything. Took him through these beautiful country club estates with swimming pools and, all kinds of luxurious things. Then he came down this little dirt road and there was this beat up little shack. The door was half hanging off the wall. The windows were all broken. And St. Peter turned to him and said, well, this is your home for eternity. I said, what are you talking about? He said, I saw those beautiful homes up there. I was very wealthy. I did all these. I had all kinds of money. And he said, yes, sir. But we went back and looked at your history of giving while you were alive. So he ended up with a little shack.
Well, yeah, that's giving is what it's all about. Yeah. And one of the things that I really enjoy about my career with Legal Shield is that it's not just a way to make money for me. It's actually a vocation because I am in a field where I can actually do good while I'm doing well.
Well, I think you have, because when you mention Legal Shield in this area, Kevin McLaughlin comes right out the next sentence.
Oh, that's good to know.
Because you are out there and you know a lot of people, you've helped a lot of people, and you're doing a good job. I mean, obviously, you're doing a great job. Because I wouldn't have you sitting here today if you weren't doing a great job.
Okay, good to know. But my previous company was a lawn maintenance company, and I got a lot of job satisfaction out of that. But nowhere near the job satisfaction that I get when I can make a positive impact on someone's life. Someone who's had a situation that's been nagging them for years that they just didn't have the power to overcome, and get them hooked up with a Legal Shield, show them how to develop a relationship with their law firm, and show them how to have that law firm make that problem go away and give them that peace of mind.
That's the
huge.
Comfort. That's the comfort of this. And financially, it's so inexpensive for what you're going to get.
Exactly. And personally, I spend $25 a month on way dumber stuff than making sure that nobody's going to ever take advantage of me again.
Of course. And it can be a horrible situation if you're being taken advantage of. How about coming home and having somebody sitting in your house and saying, please leave my home? And you say, wait a minute, this is my home. And he says, no, it's not your home. They went through and they stole your identity. They took the mortgage out or whatever they did and got their name on the deed. And you're out, man. Legally, you are out.
Well, that does happen. And I have actually helped people, not as blatant as that situation, but I dealt with a gentleman who was paying his taxes on his paid off house, and they foreclosed on it because they hadn't recorded his tax payments.
Because
some sort of clerical error. Nobody knows for sure, but the empowerment of an attorney gave him the ability to move forward with that situation, as opposed to just, take it on the chin and go. Even things just recently, I had the opportunity to deal with my insurance company. They wanted to send me a check to settle a claim. And we all know that insurance companies often give a first offer. It's not necessarily the best one. And oftentimes when you receive a check, the cashing of that check, you agree to certain things that you may or may not even be aware of. So instead of just taking the check from the insurance company, I asked them to email me the claim settlement in writing. I forwarded that to my law firm. They took a look at it and said, yeah, this is just a check, no additional responsibilities. And it's actually better than what I would have expected you to be getting in this situation. Take the check, you're good.
Or it could have been the other way around.
It could have been the other way around. I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't gotten my attorney involved.
And it cost you $25.
Yeah.
For that month.
Well, actually, it cost me $0 to have them do that.
No, I remember because you were in the system.
Yeah, and so before I had Legal Shield, I used an attorney like once or twice in my whole life. Now that I have Legal Shield, I get them involved in as many things in my life as I possibly can.
Why not? They're there for you.
Because I can. It's not going to cost me anything.
Yeah. Wow.
Other than the, flat $25 a month.
What kind of percentages out there are people who get themselves in trouble because they don't have legal representation on issues?
That I don't have any official numbers on, but from personal experience, I would say that's everyone. I mean, everyone. And as often as not, it happens and you're not even aware that it happens. We do things as a matter of course. Constantly, I run across people that are trying to Google things to figure out how to make the right decision. If you're a painter and you have a legal question, who do you ask? You ask the plumber who happens to be on the same job. A better way to go is right to the source. The things that we have, the habits that we have acquired on a daily basis to do research, just like cutting the ends off the ham, we don't know why we do them. Well, here's the reason, because you didn't get taught that it's an attorney's job to take care of that for you. And even if you knew that, you couldn't pay for it. That's the thing that Legal Shield fixes.
In spite of staying at a Holiday Inn, it's still not going to work.
The Holiday Inn Express goes a long way, but it can't do everything.
Can't do everything. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I somebody said, well, you know a lot about medicine. And I said, well, I never went to medical school, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
They said, oh, really?
It really does help, actually. So, yeah, it's so exciting. Over and over and over and over and over and over again, I get stories, success stories of people that I've helped in Legal Shield. And it's a wonderful vocation. It's a very lucrative field that has more rewards than any other I've been involved in.
Well, you're saving so much worry and agony over things that you really don't understand legally. If you have a legal backing of yourself, of a system, you don't have to worry about these things. What do? I go to small claims court. How do I do that? What department do I go and ask? Go to the city office. Who do I look for? What do I do? How do I do this?
Exactly.
Thing,
And, as I've matured, I have realized that, I can't do everything and I don't know everything. And I'm still not over the emotional impact of that, honestly. But what I've been able to do is fill that gap by bringing experts into my life. And, the thing that I do know for sure is that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And what I've learned is the hinge that makes that happen is an attorney. Because when you sign your name, you're using an attorney. You fill out a contract, you're using an attorney. It's just not yours. Whoever wrote that contract, you're using their attorney. And that attorney set that up to get as much money out of you as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got your own attorney, you can treat that contract instead of a sign or leave deal. You can treat that contract for what it really is, which is a first offer. Right. Send it to your attorney and have that dealt with. So the wealthy and powerful are not the wealthy and powerful necessarily because they're bigger, better, faster, stronger, smarter. It's because they've got a team of experts. So this allows you to get your own team of experts.
And again, they may look at a contract and say, wait a minute, this is not right. What you need to do is counter offer with blah, 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 blah.
Exactly. And I've had them do it for me over and over, and it's saved me tens of thousands of dollars.
Sure. Yes, right. It's amazing when you're not alone anymore. in anything, in
Mm.
anything.
Yeah. It makes a big difference.
Of course, absolutely.
If you have somebody who's working with you or for you, or encouraging you, it's completely different than being alone.
Yes. And as a matter of
So-
fact, the feeling that I get from having my law firm and the feeling that I try to give to other people for having the Legal Shield, my best personal comparison is when I was a little kid playing in the sandbox by myself. It was me and all these other kids, and I was really shy when I was little. So it was an uncomfortable experience. But my brother, when he showed up in the sandbox, now we're good. We got the two of us here. We're okay. We're representing in the sandbox, and we're safe now. That's the feeling that I get when I'm able to utilize my.
Boy, you were lucky. We couldn't afford sand. We had to play in the dirt. We pretended it was sand.
And you had to go uphill both ways to get there. Right?
Exactly. No
Yeah.
shoes
Yeah.
in the wintertime.
Wintertime.
My father told me stories about, when they had a pair of shoes and they wore through them and they had to put cardboard or newspaper inside the shoes so they wouldn't. I said, come on, no, we did that. They did that.
Yeah. Well,
They
if
didn't
you
whip
grew up
down
in the
and buy
Depression,
a pair of shoes, it was expensive. Sometimes not available money wise because you were eating the money that you raised, that you earned. You had to feed the family.
and those situations exist today as well. And I educate people on the fact, hey, this is $25 a month, and some people will be like, I can't afford it, and I'll be like, okay. And what I do is I sit down and I show them how life is actually less expensive when you're spending that $25 a month than what it is now, because not only will you be getting back all that money that you've been unknowingly signing away, or you will also be able to take advantage of money that's coming to you that you haven't been able to acquire. But also we've got a program that's included that gives you discounts on things that you're already paying for. So on the days that you're not actually talking to your attorney, you're actually saving money. And typically our customers save more money than the $25 a month. So the whole thing's actually a profit center.
See? Yeah, right. Sometimes you have to spend a little money to make money.
Well, that's a fact. But when that's not the
No, but I mean,
mindset
in
that we're
general,
shooting at.
general.
But yeah, of course. I mean, in $25 a month, you can more
It's
change.
lunch.
Most people, more change falls out of their pocket than $25
Yeah.
a month. They don't even look for it.
It's lunch.
Yeah, or for those men who are parents, the change that you take out of your pocket and put on the dresser, and then in the morning it's not there, and you don't even remember that it was gone. It's less money than that every month.
Well, we have a little piggy bank, little ceramic piggy bank, and all my change goes in there. All her change goes in there. And once in a while, I'll wrap up 30 or 40 bucks. She takes it to the bank, and that's her little stash to spend whatever she wants to buy. But it's amazing how quickly that change adds up to decent money.
Yes. One of the concepts that I've learned in the last 10 years is that it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much of it you keep. And that's a huge thing. Your income is far less related to your wealth than how much of it you keep.
My son was 12 years old. I had a van and we were driving home, and I said, we have to stop and pay for a tire that I bought. And I said, I'm going to let you handle it. And I pulled out $100 bill and handed it to him. I said, you paid that tire and you keep the change. Oh my God. He stared at that, turned it upside down, held it up to the light. He's probably thinking the tire was like $10. He came out of the store with this little sad look on his face. I said, what happened? He said, they gave me $2.35. I said, yeah, because the tire was almost $100. Well, why didn't you tell me that? I said, no, I wanted you to realize it isn't what you walk in with, it's what you come out with. It isn't how much money you make, it's how much money you have in your hand. Remember that. Salary sound attractive when you say you're going to earn so many dollars a year. How many dollars a week are you going to put in your palm?
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you're making $500,000 a year, if you're spending $501,000,
people seem to migrate to that level of edge of panic and edge of what do I want to say, being broke, no matter how much they make. Yeah. It just keeps elevating.
Yeah. Well, personally, I'm no financial genius, but that's why I have my legal shield, because I can have someone help me in that regard.
Mhm. Now you have a territory. Are there people working in this territory with you?
No territory. I am able to market our product in all 50 states and in 4 provinces of Canada,
Ah,
which is nice.
so you're not confined to.
Not confined to an area, which is helpful. One of the things that I do is I help businesses with our service, and it allows me, like, if I contact a business owner and turns out that their decision maker is actually in Kentucky or Georgia, I can follow that corporate line up and help the whole company as opposed to having to hand it off.
Oh,
So
very
that's
nice.
wonderful.
Very good.
Yeah.
So you're all independent agents, basically.
Yes.
Legal Shield.
Absolutely. Yep. There's a lot of us out there, but not nearly enough. With Legal Shield, we only have a 2% market penetration, and that's crazy. With something that everyone can afford and everyone needs, nobody has it. So that's my job, is to educate people on who we are and what we do, so that we can help even more people.
Okay. Well, normally we break at 20 after for a little commercial, and then once you get to talking, of course, once I get to talking, it takes long. So why don't we just take a moment here and satisfy our sponsors?
back to the forum with your host, Pat Sacco.
Thanks, Mike. We're here with, excuse me, we're here with Kevin McLaughlin, who is the regional manager of Legal Shield.
Good morning.
And I love Legal Shield. Love the protection that it affords people. And more people need to know about this. More people need to be involved with it. People need to sign up for it.
Absolutely. It's kind of like an outreach. We are giving people the power that they wouldn't normally have under their own devices. When you can, say you're being treated unfairly or overcharged, what works better than you calling and saying that's not fair? An attorney writing a letter to the appropriate person. It gives you leverage that you wouldn't have by yourself, and it really makes life a lot easier.
How often are you going to have a total wipeout of a car? How often is that going to happen? All right, but that does happen, okay? But you may be spending $1,000 to $2,000 a year to prevent that, or to be able to get your another car back, or to get money back for repair or something like that. You don't use it all the time, but when you need it, it's there at a significant amount of money. Would you ever buy a car and not get auto insurance?
No,
I don't think you can do that.
You have to have that. It's a law in Florida. You have to do it, and that's honestly why a lot of people do. But it makes sense, because who's got enough money laying around to replace their car or even fix it?
How about their home? How about a homeowner's insurance?
Home as well, policy? Yeah.
Oh, I'll get the highest deductible with the lowest cost. Now suddenly there's a $5,000 damage to your home. Oh, I have insurance. You have $10,000 deductible.
Right. So
because you saved yourself $200 last year on your policy.
Those are the kinds of things that we deal with. Well, I can encourage all of my customers to take their insurance policies and send them into your attorney and say, hey, my agent told me this is what it does. Does it really do that? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes you're paying too much, you can pay less. Yeah. Sometimes you're not paying enough, you can get more. And it's your attorney that will explain all that to you so that you can get things set properly.
I just did that with I live in a condominium association. I live in a townhouse. So the structure is covered under different insurances, but interior, my replacement of stuff, et cetera, et cetera. And I was paying almost $1,000 a year for that. And I got my bill and I thought, wait, this is not right. So I went to another company, and lo and behold, I'm going to get one for $700 instead of $1,000. The same, better coverage. But I had to go through that whole process myself. Had I had this Legal Shield, I could have turned that over and said, what's wrong with this picture here?
Correct.
Help me out.
Correct. So
that kind of thing.
In everything, those who are able to do a little bit of homework can easily create a huge advantage for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true for everything. It's true when you do your taxes. It's true when you get up and walk out the front door in the morning. It's true for everything that you do. So to be able to have the resources to do that homework effectively is a big deal.
And there's leeway too. And, like assessments. I was in a small town. I bought an old 100-year-old 3-story beautiful home on Main Street, little town. And there were about 7 homes exactly like mine. Well, I got my assessment. I thought, well, this is kind of high. So I went to the county courthouse, pulled out the assessments of those other 6 buildings, and they were like $10,000 less than my assessment. So I went to the board, and they said, what do you want? I said, I want a $10,000 reduction. Well, when you buy a newer home, they give you a different level. And he said, why? I said, it's not fair that they have that assessment and I don't. I have an identical home. And the guy looked, he said, I didn't know Jim's house was that much. Oh, look at Pete's, the same thing. They were looking, they said, okay. And they gave me a $10,000 reduction.
Good job.
But I never thought I'd get it, but I thought I'm going to go make my point.
Well, if you want something.
See, again, if you're looking at things, there is always a possibility of.
Absolutely. There's a very powerful strategy if you want something, and you got to ask.
But I would rather have somebody doing it for me.
Well, there you go. There you go. So very, very big deal. One of the things that we haven't talked about, I've touched on it briefly, is we only have a 2% market penetration. And I have been, for 11 years, I've been diligently working to spread the word on this concept. It's a foreign concept to most people. Similar to the idea that when health insurance first came out, that was a foreign concept. What do you mean I got to pay ahead of time even if I'm not sick? That's stupid.
Mhm.
You know, when the doctor comes by, I'll give him a couple chickens. He'll check the cat and the dog and the kids, and everybody will be fine. We don't need to have to pay ahead of time. That's dumb. And that was the attitude when health insurance first came out 100 and some years ago. Legal Shield's concept is still a foreign concept to most people. I never use attorneys. Why would I pay ahead of time, especially regularly? And I need help in spreading the word.
Do they realize that an annual fee that they pay to you is 1 hour of an attorney's time?
With a little bit of education. Yeah. And you know what? We live in the 21st century. I'm so
Hello.
excited. We have an app now. All of these things that we're talking about is under an app where you just touch your phone and you're empowered. And it's so advanced now. Not only do we have we taken what most people can't afford to have and put it all in the form of an app, but we also have an app now that promotes our app. So it's really space age. And that story just reminded me a very important aspect of how Legal Shield has helped my family. My daughter, when she turned 16 years old, was going to be driving for the first time. And my daughter, as wonderful as she is, I love her very much. But knowing how she is, there was no guarantee she was ever coming back. So I spent a lot of time preparing her as her single father for the things that she was going to be running into without me there. And it only took 2 days.
Mhm.
Her second day of driving around without me, she was at the mall right here in Jensen Beach. And she was accused of shoplifting. She hadn't done anything wrong, but she walked out of the store and the security guard literally grabbed onto her and said,
Ooh.
I saw you steal all that stuff, kid. Come with me to my office. We're dumping out your purse and you're in big trouble. Luckily, she remembered what I told her to say in that situation. And she said, okay, but I have 2 things to tell you first. Number 1, get your hands off of me. And number 2, when she pulled out her phone, she said, my attorney's going to want to talk to you about this. And we didn't have the app. Now on the app, it's a 1-button red hotline button. She's like, and just this quick, she's like, yeah, okay, you're my attorney. Okay. This security guard's holding on to me and he won't let go. You need to talk to him. She handed them the phone. To this day, we have no idea what that attorney said to the security guard, but very shortly afterwards, he hung up. And not only did he totally let her go, but he carried her stuff out and saw her safely to the car. So my daughter, as a 16-year-old girl alone in the mall, turned that situation from come with me, kid, you're in big trouble, to, oh, I am so sorry, Miss McLaughlin. And that kind of power has helped me sleep a lot better at night and has helped her and her life go way more smoothly.
Just like my story with the Consumer Financial Protection Agency. I called and apologized.
Yeah.
And when would a bank apologize to
Yeah.
you? Come on, they
doesn't
were,
happen too often.
oh, we made a mistake. It was some, glitch in the system. But they never say, well, gee, we're sorry.
Hmm.
And that's probably the first thing they ought to say. It calms the situation down. Now I'd say, okay, I accept your apology. Now what are you going to do about it? Let's take it to the next level. Oh, no, my attorney's going to take care of that. Don't worry about that. I don't have to worry about that. And when they hear attorney, they get nervous.
It is a feeling of power to be able to, instead of shaking your finger in anger saying, you're going to hear from my attorney, and everybody knows that's bull, to be able to just calmly say, wow, you know what? You've helped me wonderfully today, but I can see that resolving the situation the way it should go is outside of your job description. Can you just go ahead and give me the name and number that my attorney should call and we can get it resolved that way?
Exactly.
And it's amazing how the world bends around you when you're acting in that manner and utilizing more sophisticated tools to get your goals accomplished.
Mm-hmm. And usually, even on the phone, if you're getting hassled by someone, you say, I want to speak to your supervisor.
Well, there's that, but
then they don't do that.
Then they mute the phone and say, okay, who wants to be the supervisor?
Yeah, exactly.
This time?
I'm the supervisor, right?
Yeah. But when you go to that supervisor and you say, you know, what you're doing is wrong, and I know it, and I just need to find out how to get in touch with your legal department because I'm turning this over to my attorneys. And
That rings a bell for them.
that rings a big bell for them. And I have learned that the customer service department functions in one way, and the legal department of a company functions in an entirely different way. They are required to respond to your request. They are required to do something about it. The customer service department, you know, there's just people there taking it on the chin and smiling and, you know, reading from a script. They have no power to really do anything for you.
You know, before we slip away, because we don't have much time left, give me some information about where people can contact you.
Well, the best way to get me is on the phone. You can call me on my direct cell phone at 772-486-2964. That's 772-486-2964. Or you can get online and go to my website. It's kevinmclaughlin.com, KEVINMCLOUGHLIN.com.
I-N.
Check it out. I'm more than happy to speak at length with anybody about any questions or concerns or any interest they may have in anything that we're doing.
Terrific. Well, I'll tell you something. I'm really impressed with you and Legal Shield in that order. You can be impressed with the company, but the person who carries the shield for that company is the company.
Well, thank you.
People look at you as Legal Shield, not Legal Shield company that you work for, because you are them. You are they. We met the enemy, and he is us.
Yeah, that is a fact. I know that's
we met the friend, and he is us. How about that?
Well, thank you. I make it a point to try and be the best I can.
Well, we got a few minutes left. What other advice would you give to anybody about all this legal stuff that we're dealing with today? Obviously, whenever we engage in a home, an automobile, health, we have to have insurances. We have to have things, and it costs money. All right, it costs a lot of money.
It absolutely does. And you know, everybody wants to be safe financially.
And this adds just a little bit more money on top of that to have some really good comfort and safety with legal issues.
Absolutely. The best way to make yourself safe financially is to follow the practices of those who are safe financially. And that is to utilize an attorney to double check everything before you finalize it. Legal Shield makes that affordable.
Yeah, and you have to know what you're looking for also. It's like the guy who goes in for an interview, a job interview, and the interviewer says to him, what kind of job would you like? And he says, I want your job. You have to know your territory. Yeah. What are you looking for? You're looking for that.
Right on. So to be able to worry less and live more and afford it through Legal Shield is what I'm here to educate the whole country about.
Mm-hmm. And then I like the idea you're not bound by territorial limits.
No, not at all. Anywhere you are, I can help you with your Legal Shield. Even if you have issues in other parts of the country, your Legal Shield is nationwide. You've got attorneys here, there, and everywhere. And I am really proud to be able to represent this system that truly takes the freedoms and rights that were promised in the Constitution and makes them accessible to us.
Do you have an organization locally? Legal Shield
yes, we do.
Agents?
As the regional manager, I'm actually in charge of all that. And we get together. If you have any questions, you can just give me a call, 772-486-2964.
And I think you ought to keep doing your seminars also, trying to get people together and seeing, letting them know what's going on.
Every week,
yes. You're a busy dude, man.
I try to keep busy. Otherwise, I'd just be staring at the wall.
Taking your time to be here today. Well, we're wrapping up another show, and my voice is going. And I understand why. Maybe it's because I'm old. Anyway,
can't be that.
Excuse me. Hold on. Okay. Thank you.
Done?
All right, we're done. Yes.
Okay. We'll see you next week, Pat.